I'm Janet Clark, and you are listening to the Sales Matchmaker Podcast.
Hello out there. It is Janet Clark, the Sales Matchmaker, and we are here with this week's episode of the Sales Matchmaker Podcast. Now, today's topic is, it's kind of a deep one, really. And it's something that I know a lot of you coaches and consultants are struggling with because, let's face it, you're an expert in your industry. And by most people's standards, you're a success. So you've built your business now up to six figures. And this is kind of the sweet spot, right? Where you're maybe just hovering around that six-figure mark and you're looking pretty good, right? You've got a website, you've got some high ticket packages, you've got some client testimonials, and, you've maybe created some sort of a nurture sequence and you've got all the, sort of the ducks in a row. And you're at this point where it's like, I need to grow this thing, right? I need to scale it. But there's just one big problem. And that is you have run out of hours. Time is just not your friend, right? And you know that feeling, right? Where you feel like you have this great gift that you want to share with the world. And you got into your business because you saw other people being able to grow these coaching companies, and that's your dream. And you see that you have the potential to serve a lot more clients, but you don't know how to get out from under this crunch that you're in. So let's talk about why this happens, right? Because I know that you've watched other people who have scaled their businesses to 10x where you are right now, right? They're running seven-figure businesses. And you can't really quite figure out why you're plateaued, you're stuck, and you can't figure out your next move. Well, this is totally normal. And I guarantee you that every one of those people that you see who's now at 7 or 8 figures in their coaching business got to this point as well. Because at a certain point, as entrepreneurs, we all become the bottleneck in our own business. And the thing that we have to recognize is that what got us to the six-figure mark is not going to get us into the mid six figures and up toward 7 figures. You can't do it by yourself anymore. So if you've ever read Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, or revisit The E-Myth, that's what it's all about. It's this idea that as an entrepreneur, we're wearing all the hats in our business. So here's what typically happens, and I think you're going to be able to relate to this, right? You get into this feast or famine sort of cash flow roller coaster thing where you're all of a sudden you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm going to run out of cash. And so you scramble around and you generate some new sales. And then you totally shift gears and you're in fulfillment mode, right? You're serving all of these clients. And there's no system in place that's keeping new sales coming into your business. You may have some marketing things happening, but even so, those calls that are getting booked on your calendar are overwhelming you. Like you can't do more sales calls, right? You can't really even bring on any more clients because how are you going to serve them? So the pipeline kind of dries up because you're not focused over here on the marketing and sales. And you're in this situation where you've just got to serve all these clients and you are just feeling exhausted. Okay, so look, when you get to the point where you're at this place in your business and you know if I'm talking to you right now, you have to make a decision. Something has to give. What was it that Jack Nicholson? Something's got to give, right? And here's the thing, you're feeling stuck, but the reality is, and I know most of you, maybe you don't have a 10K offer right now, but you're close to that. Maybe you've been selling a 5K or 7,500. But let's just say that you could sell a 10K offer because I guarantee you that if you've built your business up to $100,000, you're in six figures, that you can have a 10K offer. So if you did, you would only need 100 sales a year to reach $1 million. Now, break that down even further. 100 sales a year is 2 a week, 2 sales every single week. So what is the problem? Well, it's going to be one of three things. It's either going to be a marketing problem, it's going to be a sales problem, or it's going to be a fulfillment problem. Now, here's what typically happens. If you aren't generating enough leads, you're not going to be able to close 2 deals every single week. Okay, so that has to be addressed. If you have any resistance around selling for any reason, but one of the big reasons is because you really can't handle any more clients, that's going to get in the way. And you're going to resist doing the sales part of the job, right? And then finally, there's the whole fulfillment thing. And like literally, if you were bringing on 2 new clients every single week, could you fulfill for those clients? Now, so you're in the situation, you look at this and you say, yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. I got to figure this out, right? I've got to get some help, either with marketing, I've got to get some help. Maybe I need a lead generation specialist. Maybe I need a salesperson. Maybe I need a client service manager. Maybe I need a business development manager. Like what is it that what's the next right step for you when you get to this point in your business? Well, let's talk about this a little bit, because at this point, say you did go and hire somebody on the fulfillment side with the idea that this was going to free you up so that you could go focus more on the marketing and the sales. Now, think about this, like from an intellectual point of view and a heart-centered point of view. Does that really make sense to you? Because why did you start your business in the first place? It was because you have a talent and you have a gift and you have something that you can really transform people's lives with, right? And you are the best person to head up that fulfillment team. So the minute you bring somebody in to take over your fulfillment, and so that you can focus on bringing in new business, you are going to take your eye off of delivery and implementation. Now, I can tell you from firsthand experience, because I was in a coaching program as a client, when my coach did that exact thing. They hit their high 6 figures. They want to scale to $1 million. And so they brought in a fulfillment manager, a client service manager, whatever you want to call it. And it totally undermined the quality of the program and ultimately damaged his reputation as a coach. So let's face it, you built your company on your own reputation and your area of expertise. You offer a world-class solution to help people to transform their life or their business in some way. This is not the first thing that you need to outsource, because you do not have the bandwidth to implement a team on the fulfillment side right now and make that team be able to deliver and still have your focus on helping them to do that, because you're going to need to go bring the sales in to pay for that person or team that you bring in on client fulfillment. So that is not the next best move for you if you are stuck in your business. So the other thing to look at really is, how are you going to streamline this fulfillment then, right? So when you look at fulfillment, you have to figure out, okay, I do want to have more sales and I do want to be able to fulfill for more clients, and I don't really want to have to bring on somebody else to do my fulfillment for me. So what you need to do is you need to look back, get out of the Coke bottle, because you can't read the label from inside the bottle, and figure out how you are going to streamline this fulfillment in such a way that you can still deliver incredible world-class value and transformation to your clients. Now, how do you do that? Well, you do it by restructuring your high-end offer in such a way that you can make it more valuable, but deliver it in less time. And from my experience, and as you know, I have been doing this now for 5, 6, 7 years and talked to thousands of coaches. And I can tell you that most coaches do not know how to do this. more than likely you have built yourself to six figures by doing a lot of one-on-one work with your clients, but that is not scalable. And one of the things that I've learned, because I've sold so many different programs for so many different high-level coaches, and I've been involved in so many masterminds and networking relationships, that there is a way to do this. And I'm actually pretty good at figuring out how to design these offers, but I didn't learn it overnight. Like, it's a skill. So what do you want to do when you redesign your offer? You want to make sure that you redesign it in a way that makes it totally irresistible to your target avatar. Now, I've talked about this on other podcasts, and that's not really the subject of this one. So I'm just giving you the highlights. So you want it to be irresistible to a specific avatar. You want it to differentiate you in the marketplace so that you really almost don't have any competition. You also want to make it be a results-based program. So it's transformation-based. You are not selling time. You're not selling so many sessions. You're not selling hours of coaching time with you. You're selling a transformation. You're creating a super high level of value, and you're going to lower the cost of your fulfillment. So imagine if you could do that in such a way that you could literally serve 10 times more clients this year. Well, that's going to be one of the most important things that you can do, which is really, really get your offer into alignment. Now, most people are going to tell you that as far as the whole marketing piece, that you have to have this ongoing flow of leads coming into your business, and that the best way to do that is to create these funnels, build these webinars, record the webinar, build the funnel, have the landing pages, have the email sequences, and then start doing Facebook advertising. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that you may have already tried that and you may have already blown a whole bunch of money and sent it off to Facebook, and you don't have a lot to show for it. So again, because the cost of lead acquisition is skyrocketing, because Facebook keeps changing the algorithms, because most of us are not experts at how to create these ads, and there's a huge investment involved with that. So even if you were to go the Facebook ads route and you were to go and invest, $10,000, say, a month in ads, you would be lucky if you didn't have say you were now to generate $20,000 in sales. 10,000 of that, 50% of it is already out the door in ads. And actually, the typical is about 60%. So you could figure that it would cost you $6,000 for every $10,000 in sales you generated. So that, number one, it's going to take you a whole bunch of more time to try to figure out that whole Facebook ads thing, or you're going to hire somebody and take pot luck on whether they can actually figure out how to get you the right leads. And it's still going to bury you, because now you're going to have all these leads coming in who are not qualified, because the average close ratio on Facebook ads to webinar to sales call is less than 10%, which means you're taking all those crappy calls, which is another time suck on you. So fixing the marketing, hiring a marketing person, no. So we've already established your next best move is not to hire a client service manager, fulfillment manager. Your next best move is not to hire somebody to do your marketing for you, to go generate a whole bunch of leads that are going to go on your calendar. The next best thing for you to think about is hiring a salesperson. Now, this is obviously something that everybody raises their hand. Yes, I really want to have a salesperson. And the trouble is that it sounds easier than it actually is, because of course we all want to just hand it off, right? Let's think that it's going to be so simple to just hand off sales. But here's the reason why you haven't been able to hire a salesperson yet. And I know it's one of these 5 things, and it's probably all of these reasons, right? Number one, you're not generating enough leads to put them on a salesperson's calendar, because a salesperson is going to expect to be earning $100,000 a year too, right? And you're probably not even paying yourself that. So you would need to have enough leads to keep that person on your payroll in your company, because the demand for salespeople is super high. So if you get somebody good, then they're going to have to be able to, you're going to have to sustain them, or you're going to just have this constant turnover. You may be thinking, I don't even know where to find a salesperson, even if I wanted to hire them. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. You may say, I'm too nervous to trust my business to a salesperson because I don't know if they're going to represent my brand in a highly proficient and highly reputable way, right? And again, like, your reputation is everything in where you are in your business right now. Or maybe you're just realizing, I don't have the money to invest in hiring a salesperson, because you're smart enough to know that you're not going to get a person for free, even though there's a bunch of people running around saying that you can just get a commission salesperson. But I'm going to be doing another podcast episode next week where I'm going to talk about the true cost of hiring a salesperson. But just take it for granted, take my word for it. It is not free to hire a salesperson, and you do not pay after they sell. You are going to invest a ton of time, or you're going to invest money, or you're probably going to invest both. So maybe that's the reason, and you recognize that. Or maybe you're scared because you don't really know how to manage a salesperson. You don't know how to manage the compensation plan. You don't know how to make sure that they're staying on track with you, and exactly how to bring them into your company and establish the culture and keep the communication flow going. So look, admittedly, hiring a salesperson is a challenge. And there are thousands and thousands of people out there who consider themselves closers, and they're all claiming to be experts. And you get to go out there into this mass craziness of people running around as high ticket closers and try to figure out who the heck really is an expert, and can this person actually sell, and have they ever actually sold anything? And I can tell you, it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack to find a good person out of that group. And how do I know this? Well, because that's what I do. Okay. I'm a sales matchmaker, which means I have to find salespeople. So I've talked to thousands of them. And I can tell you that it is very, very difficult to find somebody who is coachable, who can sell, who does have the presence and the sophistication and the professionalism to actually be a good salesperson for somebody like you, right? Who could represent your company. And so it really is the reason why I became the sales matchmaker, because I know enough about how to train, certify, and bring on good salespeople, because I did that in my past life in the corporate world, right? That's where I came from. So I have that skill set. I saw this gaping hole in the marketplace, which wasn't really how I started my business in the first place, right? I wasn't planning to match salespeople with coaches. I was just planning to help coaches sell their own programs. But it always came down to the same thing. The coach turning around to me and saying, well, I need somebody to come in and do this for me. Can you do it? And I would say, well, no, I can't do it because I can't scale myself. And so then they would say, well, who do you know? And then the realization that there really wasn't a good pocket, like a group of people that I could go to and select somebody that was open and ready and willing to work with a coach. So I knew that that there was a demand, but there was not, a pot of people to fulfill that demand. So that's how this whole thing started to evolve from my side of things. So look, there are headhunters out there. You could go to a headhunter, but I can, tell you that they will charge you an arm and a leg. And there is no guarantee with a headhunter. Like, they'll match you with somebody, but if that person doesn't work out, then you can just pay up again for somebody else. So this is an area where you do not want to mess around. Like, you need to find somebody who is going to become a sales partner for you, somebody who's going to represent your brand at the highest level. And, like I said earlier, a good salesperson is going to expect to be able to earn $100,000 a year. And they're going to need to know that you're going to be able to support them in that area. So, how much is a sales professional worth to you? Well, let's say, and kind of go back into this whole marketing thing. Like right now, maybe you're generating leads, maybe you're not. Maybe you're doing everything organically. And perhaps you're bringing in these leads from Facebook and through your funnel, and you're finding that they're really not very qualified. So a good salesperson is going to be somebody who can do two things for you that is going to make your life totally easy and happy and joyful. Number one, they are going to be able to reach out to your warm network, interact with those people, get in conversations with them, and bring those people into a qualifying process and then enroll them in your program. So if you already have a warm lead list, then you need a salesperson who is willing to work in that list with you. Maybe you have a Facebook group. Whatever, depending on how much you've already built up, you want to bring a salesperson who's willing to go and nurture and create relationships within that group. That's called prospecting. Okay. If you don't have that, the other side of that is that there are ways, which we train our people on how to do, for a professional salesperson to be able to reach out via LinkedIn or perhaps Facebook when they do understand who your ideal avatar is, and to start generating conversations in a very respectful and reputable way that doesn't seem slimy or whatever. And they're representing your brand at a very high level as somebody who's on your team, an advisor for your company. And they're bringing these people into conversations because these people are your ideal clients. They're having the qualifying conversations with them, bringing them through maybe sort of a discovery call, and introducing them into who you are and what you're all about, showing them some content that you've got out there, which, in some cases we have to help our clients create, but we have to make sure that before that person actually gets on a sales call, they know who you are and that you have a program, what your program does, and that it works. So when you're looking for a salesperson, this is the kind of salesperson you want. So forget this whole notion of a closer, because anybody who's out there who's touting themselves to be a closer is going to expect you to put qualified leads on their calendar. Now, are there high-level, multi-seven-figure coaches who have marketing teams, who have very dialed-in processes, who do big JV launches that can do that? Yes. So is there ever a place for a closer? Yes, but not with you. You need a sales pro, which is a sales professional who is willing to do prospecting. So I look at that word pro to be short for two important things. One, they're professional and they know how to sell. Two, they will do prospecting because they recognize that a really good consultative salesperson knows how to go out, initiate conversations, build relationships, nurture those relationships, establish trust, and then bring people into an enrollment conversation and close the sale. So closing is like the fifth step in the process. So let's talk about what if you could find one of these sales pros, because there's not a lot of them out there. I can pretty much guarantee you that, but we do create them. So we know they exist. So what would that person be worth to you? Well, let's think about it this way, because you may be thinking that if you go to bring a salesperson on, that you're going to have to make an investment, which is true, you are. And so when you look at this, you're going to think of, well, what will be my return on this investment if I do bring a salesperson on board? Well, this is where you're going to be blown away by the way the numbers scale, and why the next step for you must be bringing on a salesperson, not going and doing any of those other things that are not going to give you this kind of an ROI. Okay, so let's say that you had a salesperson who was able to generate 5 conversations a week. And they would do that through reaching into your warm network. They would do it through maybe any ads that you have coming through. And they would do it through their own outreach and relationship building on one of the platforms. Okay, so they generate 5 conversations a week and say they can only close 20% of those. And that your program is a $10,000 program. So literally they are making 1 sale per week. What would that do for your revenue? That would add $500,000 to your revenue right now. So you would immediately add $500,000 in revenue to your business if you had the right sales professional. Now let's take this up a notch, because when you get a really good salesperson, somebody who kind of works their way through your process, where we help our clients to figure out how to interact, how to collaborate, how to manage that person in a good way. Now say that the salesperson is actually able to facilitate 10 conversations a week, and they get better at qualifying. So now they're able to close 40% of those. What does that do to your revenue? Now you are at $2 million in additional revenue in your business. So that is what hiring a salesperson is worth to you. Anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million. So is that a good return on an investment? So what is it going to cost you to bring that salesperson in? Well, obviously, it's going to cost you something. You're going to pay a commission to that person, and you're going to pay to get that person on board, right? So what if it cost you $25,000? What if it cost you $35,000? What if it cost you $50,000? And it wouldn't all be upfront, obviously, because a lot of that is going to be based on what money they're generating, right? And their commissions. So how's a 10x return on investment? Does that sound good? Of course it does. It's amazing. But here's the greatest part about it. That person has now taken over the marketing and sales that you were doing. The time that you were investing in marketing and sales has been now freed up, so you can go over and work on fulfilling all of these new clients that are coming in. And at that point, we probably are going to need to start bringing in some kind of a team to work with you on fulfillment. But guess what? Your energy and your attention is over there now. Your energy and your attention is no longer over on bringing in the new business. It's now on making sure that your clients are getting the service that you want them to get at the standards and the levels that you have set for them. So you're ready at that point to bring on more team. But now you've got money to pay them. You can get really good people, and you've got focus because your time is focused over there. So a salesperson is worth their weight in gold because they are not an expense. They are not a liability. They are an asset. The salesperson that comes into your business is going to be able to generate revenue for you. And that is the most important thing that you can be thinking about right now, because we started this off by saying, why are you stuck at $100,000 a year? And how are you going to get unstuck, right? So the next best step for you is to get a salesperson on board who knows how to do prospecting and closing, right? They're not just a closer. They literally will come in and become a partner with you, a sales partner. So that's the next best step. And next week, I am going to talk about what does it actually cost to bring on a salesperson? How should you think about that? And what would that look like? And obviously, with anything in your business, when you grow, you do have to invest ahead. And you are going to have to do that with a salesperson as well. But if you know that this investment is actually going to generate more revenue and give you a great return on that investment, you're going to be much more comfortable going in that direction. So as always, have a wonderful, happy week selling. I love hearing from you guys. It's always fun when I get little comments back, and I love the conversation. So always feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be back next week. So bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Sales Matchmaker Podcast. To hear more episodes, visit us at www.thesalesmatchmaker.com.